We have the latest NBA news and rumors that we're going to hit you with here coming up on today's show. Kyrie Irving, is he set to stay in Dallas? Some reports there. Darius Garland, is he on the trade block? Is he not? There's been some conflicting reports there. Portland, they want to build around Dame. Can that be accomplished? We'll see. And then Zach LaVine, is there some trade chatter there that could pick up some steam? All that and more coming up here on today's show. Let's start with Kyrie Irving. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Kyrie is expected to stay in Dallas. Now, there's been a report from Ramona Shelburne since then. We'll get to that in a second, but here was what Woj said on ESPN earlier today. He said the market for Kyrie Irving in terms of legitimate places that he would leave Dallas for, that makes sense, and that are available to him are extremely limited, perhaps almost nil. I think the full expectation is that he returns to Dallas. The question will be, what kind of deal does he go back on? How many years on a contract? I don't think the money will be as much of an issue as how many fully guaranteed years there are for Kyrie Irving. I think that's where the negotiation will be between him and the Mavericks. If he wants to maximize his money on this deal, the place to do that is in Dallas. If he wants a chance to win and make a lot of money, or certainly win at a certain level playing with Luka Doncic, they certainly have much more to do with that roster, but certainly a very formidable 1-2 punch with the Mavs is back in Dallas again. The question will be, how many years in that deal? What kind of commitment do the Mavericks make to Kyrie? And look, the Mavericks make the most logical sense. They invested in him at the trade deadline. They have his bird rights, so they can go heavier into the luxury tax to bring him back. And quite frankly, the teams that do have cap space that can offer him a big contract aren't teams that make sense for him. You're talking about like the Rockets, the Indiana Pacers, and the Detroit Pistons. Like, I don't think he's going to any of those franchises. So barring a sign-and-trade scenario, I do expect Kyrie to be back in Dallas. He played well with the Mavs following the trade, averaged 27 and 6 on 51 and 39 shooting from the field in 27 games. We know he's a lethal scorer. Obviously, him and Luka Doncic have to continue to figure out how to play together. Luka's got to be able to play off ball more. Kyrie's got to figure out how that looks for him as well. I do expect Kyrie to re-sign. Now, Ramona Shelburne in the last couple of hours did say that Kyrie will take some visits or calls, appointments, whatever. Meetings is probably the word you're looking for. I don't think he's going to be flying around meeting with franchises necessarily, but he is going to potentially take some interest from other teams. But again, who are those teams? Who are the teams Kyrie's meeting with? The teams with cap space just don't really make sense. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm at about a 92% confidence meter that Kyrie returns to Dallas, but time will tell. Fill in the blank for us. Kyrie Irving will sign with the blank this offseason. I think it's going to be the Mavs. What say you? Let us know in the comment section down below when it comes to Kyrie Irving. Let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Are they set to run it back with their star duo, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell? There were reports in the last 24 hours that Garland could be available, that they could split up this duo, but the most recent report suggests that they will run it back with those two. Brian Windhorst said that. Also, Chris Fedor of Cleveland.com said that as well. He said the Cavs have not had any discussions about trading all-star point guard Darius Garland and don't intend to move him. Now, obviously, this is the dynamic duo in Cleveland right now with D-Mitch and Garland, who each had great seasons last year. They averaged about 50 points combined. Both shot the ball well from the field and from three-point range. The only issue I have, and the reason that I bought into the trade buzz that they could split up this pairing when those reports were surfacing, was because this feels very familiar to the Portland Trailblazers with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Like, it's an exciting backcourt, but they're both undersized and they don't defend at a high level. Like, how far can you go when your best two players are Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland? Like, the roster construction is tough. You have to have excellent defenders around them both, and if one or both of them has an off series and a playoff series, you're going to get beat, which is what happens with against the New York Knicks. Garland struggled, Mitchell struggled a bit, and they got waxed in that series because the matchup just wasn't very good. It's fun, it's exciting, but can you win? I'm not so sure that you can. It's only been 1 year together, but I think it's a legitimate question mark moving forward. Now, Brian Windhorst yesterday, before saying today that he doesn't think they'll split these two up, had this bizarre quote on ESPN Cleveland, said, I have some speculation. There's a couple of outlandish stuff that I'm not going to say right now because I'd get in trouble. I wish I could tell you more, and I know I shouldn't tease you. what does that mean? Today said they're not going to split them up. The reason there was all kinds of rumors, though, is because Donovan Mitchell, whose dad works for the Mets, he's at a Mets game, and you've got former Knicks legends and Spike Lee hanging out. You're like, is Stephen A's there? And you're like, is Donovan Mitchell going to be a Knick? I don't know what any of this means. We do know that the latest reports are that the Cavs do not intend to split up the pairing of Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. I'll say this. You could probably run it back one more year, but if you don't go at least a round, if not 2 rounds into the playoffs, there will be changes the following offseason because D-Mitch is going to be a free agent in 2 years? You're not going to wait forever because Mitchell will sign elsewhere if he doesn't feel like he can win in Cleveland. Now, should the Cavs split up this pairing? I think it should be at least discussed because, again, I think there's a limited ceiling there when your 2 best players are guards that don't defend. Type Y for yes if you think they should split up Mitchell and Garland, or type in for no if you think they should keep these 2 together. Now, NBA free agency officially gets started on Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central Time. We will be live here at Chat Sports. What's James Harden going to do? Draymond Green and all the other top free agents. We will monitor all of it. Hit that subscribe button and join us this Friday and between now and then as we'll have the latest rumors leading up to free agency. Okay, let's talk about Damian Lillard, the latest there, and what's going on with the Portland Trailblazers. They, of course, met the other day, and as we've discussed, Portland does not intend to trade Lillard right now. They remain committed to building around him, but how achievable is that? That's the real question here. Here's Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. He says, the Blazers don't appear to be in panic mode to restructure their roster around Lillard. Far from it. Portland officials believe that a strong offseason of additions will further reinforce Lillard's long-standing commitment to the franchise and essentially called Lillard's bluff like the Nets did with Durant, even if Lillard hasn't played his trade request trump card just yet, and maybe he never will. What additions are coming for Portland is a little more challenging to figure out. That's the sentence to me that I think of. It's like, what can Portland really do? They don't have a lot of cap space. They don't have tradable assets. Their best one is Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons. I don't think they're trading Scoot. I don't think they should. Sure, you can trade Simons, but you just drafted Scoot with the number 3 pick. If you're committed to keeping him, what are your assets after that? Simons and Shaedon Sharpe? Nurkic isn't an asset. Like, how much better can you really get in terms of trying to build a title contender around Dame? And then you see this report from Sam Amick saying that Dame Lillard's dream scenario is to re-sign Jeremy Grant, because that worked out so well last year, and sign Draymond Green. So you're telling me with your draft picks of Scoot Henderson and Chris Murray, who are both going to be rookies, I'm high on both, but they are rookies, and bringing back Jeremy Grant, and even if you somehow were to get Draymond Green, that's going to get you in contention? It's not going to happen, man. Like, you might be a playoff team at that point, but you're not winning a title. Unless Scoot Henderson is a 20-plus point starter that can play at an all-star level right away, you got no chance of contending. And even if he is, I still don't think you have enough. Dame, just move on, man. Like, we respect that you've been loyal to Portland, but, like, to me, when they met the other day, the 2 parties should have come to the conclusion, like, hey, man, we've given this a go. We're going to release a joint statement saying that Damian Lillard had a great run here. He's the greatest player in franchise history. We want to trade him somewhere where he can hopefully chase a title. We're committing to a rebuild. That's what they should have done, but no, they're living in this fairy tale that they can still win a title in Portland, and I just don't think they're even all that close. Where will Dame play next season? Type B for the Blazers or O for other? Tragically, it seems like it could still be Portland. I'm hopeful he gets out of there and goes to a contender. I'd like to see how that would all look, but curious what you guys think. B for the Blazers or type O for other. Let's talk about Zach LaVine here now as we shift to the next storyline. We'll get to some Nikola Vucevic discussion as well, but there's a report out there that Zach LaVine, if he were to get traded, the Bulls would want more than what the Wizards got for Bradley Beal. So let's just revisit that trade. They got Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, some seconds and pick swaps that actually ended up being 6 second-round picks and 4 pick swaps that ended up getting upgraded. But the point being, they didn't even get a first-round pick. So obviously the Bulls want more for Zach LaVine than what Washington got. And I think they would get more for a couple of reasons. One, LaVine's bigger. He's he's at least capable of defending a little bit. And he doesn't have a no-trade clause. The reason Beal didn't fetch a ton is he could choose when and where he wanted to go, so that lowered the price tag. Whereas with LaVine, that would not be the case. LaVine, who played in 77 games last year, averaged 25 points per game, 48.5% from the field, 38% from three. Zach LaVine, I think, can be a number 2 on a title contending team. Now, he's asked to being a number 1 in Chicago, and obviously that roster construction hasn't worked out, which is why I'm a bit puzzled on why the Bulls have committed to giving Nikola Vucevic 3 years and $60 million. That's an interesting decision. He has signed an extension here before the start of free agency. Does that mean they're just running it back in Chicago at least for another year? Certainly seems that could be the case, but if the Bulls are going to trade LaVine, they're going to want a bigger package, and look, they should. They should not just give him away. I don't think they should have extended Vooch. I would have let him go and tried to at least start to fast-track a rebuild, get some assets back, trade DeMar, trade Caruso. If you get a big offer for LaVine, trade him as well, but it appears that that may not be the route they're going. Will the Bulls trade Zach LaVine, type T for trade or K for keep? I think they're going to keep him for now. Maybe it's a trade deadline deal that gets done at some point in time, but we'll just have to wait and see how that all plays out. Lots of NBA news and rumors that continue to circulate. You're going to want to keep it here at Chat Sports. Subscribe, turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a video here on the channel.